Welcome to African Couch Potato, the mashup. In this podcast, we talk about all things film and television, specifically in South Africa as our main focus. We're very proudly South African. We extend this to the rest of the continent, so anything that comes from Rwanda, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, etc. we are fans of. And then if we really have to, we'll go abroad and look at US-based movies, UK-based movies, even your K-dramas. But really the focus is on pushing what is local, what best resonates with Black excellence, and what we feel is moving our industry forward. This podcast is split into 3 segments. The first one is your top 5 titles to watch, which is when I would be making a recommendation of what you can tune into or catch up on if it's on a video streaming platform. We have film or television reviews, so this will be fairly recent productions, so anything that's come out in the past 2 to 3 weeks. And then we throw it back to what we reference as golden oldies, which is something or a movie that is worth rewatching that is more than 5 years old. Jumping straight into it, we're going to get into our top 5. And for this particular podcast, they're all going to be from Netflix. The next one might be from Showmax, Prime Video, SABC Plus, and so on. Our top 5 for this episode is all from Netflix. These are suggestions of what to watch. And in each episode, I will feature titles from various platforms such as Showmax, DStv, Prime Video, Disney Plus, and SABC Plus. Just because I've mentioned or just because I'm doing a top 5 Netflix today doesn't mean that we will not be having another Netflix top 5. These basically change as much and as when they continue uploading more content onto the platform. First one up is Survival of the Thickest, which is US-based. It was created by comedian and actress Michelle Buteau. The second one is Unseen. It's a local one with Gail Mabalane. The third one is iNumber, Jozi Gold. Fourth one is Country Queen, which is set in Kenya. And the last recommendation for this week is Trees of Peace, which explores the lives of 4 women who were trapped in a basement during a genocide in Rwanda. Up next is a local series, and we will round up this first episode with my favorite South African movie of all time. Now, this is my favorite segment in the podcast, and it's where we do reviews. The latest TV sensation is called Shaka Ilembe. Basically, what we are seeing here is the story of Africa's greatest warrior told through the eyes and lens of Bomb Productions. Bomb Productions gave us Yizo, they gave us Soul Buddies, Ayeye, Isbaya, Istembiso, and Back of the Moon. Basically, everything that you used to like watching or enjoy watching as a kid was produced by Bomb Productions. Now they continue their list of successful productions with Shaka Ilembe. Who we see or who's featured as a cast member on Shaka Ilembe is Nomzamo Mbatha, who is also an executive producer of the same title. You have Lemogang, Tsipa, who plays the adult Shaka Zulu, and then you have Ntando Zondi, who plays the young Shaka Zulu. I love everything about this production. If we look at casting, wardrobe, makeup, and location, they're all top-notch. The reason I say that is they took their time with wardrobe. So if you think of culturally what Zulu people or the Zulu nations used to wear is animal skin, so you're doing a lot of different designs to make all the different tribes look different. So that basically people are able to distinguish that these are the people from Elangeni, these are the people from Ndwandwe, these are the Zulu people. So there's a lot of costumes involved. Every lead female's outfit is different. It's not like where they used a rinse and repeat approach where they'll say, we're going to style everybody exactly the same. To the point where depending on how comfortable they were with their bodies, you'll see a lot of topless women, and then some who are not maybe as comfortable would have to cover up or would prefer rather to have been covered up. The shields that they use, the weaponry that they use, whether it be spears or the nopgiri, are all very different depending on which tribe or which clan is being represented at the time. Some of the spears are a bit shorter, others are a bit longer. The way they dress or their royal regalia is a bit different. Some will have idube, which is a zebra. Others will have your leopard skin. There's also the lion skin, which is reserved obviously for the king or the most prominent person in that tribe. But from calabashes, from what they wear, from how they look, from the blood when somebody gets cut open, the wounds if somebody's head gets bashed in. All of that is a makeup job, and I think they pulled it off phenomenally. Location as well was, if you don't know, was a bit of a cheat. So they would like us as viewers to believe that everything was set in the kingdom of KwaZulu-Natal, which is largely where Zulu people can be found. But some of it was actually shot at the cradle of humankind, which is in Gauteng. And I understand why they would do that, because looking at the number of talent they have on set, it's basically 30 to 40% of our actors or thespians, which means that most of them would be based in Johannesburg. And it would just make things easier from a logistics point of view to be closer to where everybody is, especially if you look at the different shooting schedules. So it was shot over a longer period of time. I think they started last year, June or July. Taking 200 plus people down to Durban, housing them, and then having to pull cables or generators for you to achieve what they achieve might have not been possible given the budget that they had. Another thing that was quite good about this was cinematography. So the man behind the lens is a guy called Gino. So Gino Peterson is a DOP. He's been a DOP for quite a while. He does music videos. The thing with music videos is because they are staged, you kind of have to have a certain eye for it because you're creating the beauty. It's not something that's naturally there. It's not like wildlife where you'd have to sit in a tree for about 5 days to wait for the lion to walk past, and whatever shot you get, you get. So because he comes from that kind of background, he is very meticulous with his lighting and how he wants to reflect a certain mood. So with Ushaka Zulu, because it was set back in the olden days, they go with more of a desaturated, warm orange, bordering on brown, nudes kind of tone to let you know that this was before modern times. There's definitely no bright colors. They use white very little. It's all almost on the same nude, brownish, if you're thinking of sunrise or sunset, those kind of colors. The only real contrast would be like, I suppose, a zebra. And luckily, we don't see any zebras, or at this point, we haven't seen any zebras. Then there's Philip Miller. So Philip Miller is a musical composer and scorer. He was born in London. We adopted him, and he is our version of Hans Zimmer. So what Philip does is that he'll create a mood through sound design. So does he want you to hear a heart beating to show if that person is nervous, or to illustrate if that person is nervous? Does he want you to hear loud thunder when something bad is about to happen to kind of preempt the evil? Or does he want you to feel warm, fuzzy, in love, birds chirping, sound of the water going down the stream, highlight some of the kisses, the giggling, people falling in love? So that's really his role in all of this. And the reason I call Philip Miller our version of Hans Zimmer is if you look at any of the bigger titles, Interstellar for one, and I think there was one with Russell Crowe called Gladiator. Everything you felt in that movie, you felt because the music almost forced you to feel it. So he almost engineers moods. He creates emotions based on sound alone. And because of all of that, it's a 10 out of 10 for me, although some of the sex scenes can get a bit too much. Having said that, though, it does kind of amuse me that the greatest African warrior of all time was conceived in less than a minute. Even if a production gets a low rating, let's say, for example, the following podcast, I'm reviewing something and it gets a 3 out of 10, it's not to put you off or to say you shouldn't watch this. I will encourage everybody to watch everything that we cover so that you can form your own opinion. At the end of the day, this is my opinion based on my checklist and how I feel we should be viewing certain things. It's by no means gospel, and it doesn't mean that you also can't challenge me. So if you do have your own recommendations or your own ratings, you're more than welcome to share them with me. I'll put a link to how you would get that information to me, and then maybe in the following podcast, I can review something that you would have recommended. Up next is what I said is a golden oldie. This is basically when we throw back to a film or a television series that is really worth rewatching. All of the golden oldies are more than 5 years old, or they've been around for longer than 5 years. And it's gems that we used to like that we may have forgotten about. So I'm just wanting to inspire a bit of nostalgia, and I'll tell you why this next one is my favorite South African movie of all time. Catch a Fire is a film from 2006 that stars Bonnie Mbuli, Derek Luke, and Tim Robbins. This is a movie about apartheid, but it's not told like all the other stuff about apartheid. What we see here is Patrick Chamuso. It's based on a true story, so Patrick Chamuso is a true, struggle hero, but he's one of the lesser known ones. And that is the character that Derek Luke plays. So Patrick Chamuse is a shift supervisor at a power station in Secunda, which is in Mpumalanga in South Africa. His life takes a dramatic turn when he decides to not sleep home one evening and he doesn't tell his wife where he is. What transpires after that is a series of unfortunate events as Patrick Chamuso is wrongfully arrested for an act of terrorism that took place at the power plant when he was supposed to be on duty. The storyline, which is based on a true story as mentioned, is absolutely beautiful. The acting is first class, the music and sound design is magical, and they even feature the real Patrick Chamuso at the end, which is a really nice touch. It is an incredible movie. Unfortunately, though, you're going to have to do some digging for it because it's not available on your popular platforms such as your Netflix, Showmax, or Prime Video. And with that being said, that wraps up the very first episode of African Couch Potato, The Mashup. If you find any of these reviews and watch lists useful, please help me share them. You can also download each episode to listen on your way to work or at home during load shedding when you don't have an internet connection on your phone or whatever device you choose to. Bye for now.